Five, four, three, two, one.
Hello and welcome to Money Matters. I'm Sarah Peterson here with Dylan Greenberg and Dean Greenberg, and they have new titles, and I want you guys to talk about it. So good morning, afternoon, whatever it is.
Whatever time of day it is.
Hello.
It's always just good seeing you, talking to you. Yeah, we have new titles.
New titles. As we talked about in other episodes, you know, succession planning is very important. I'm very lucky that I got a team that I can start looking at succession planning. Now, succession planning doesn't mean myself, who is now the CEO and founder, walks away and doesn't do anything. I can't do that. I've always wanted to have a company that to the day I die, I still can go to an office and have a place that I can go to, mentor, help, but the day-to-day operations need to be turned over to somebody else. So as a president, I turned that job over to Dylan. So he's also a CFP. So that's perfect because he can do all the work on a daily basis. He can go ahead and start coming up with ideas of what we need to do, run the company, talk to the people, sign off on things, and obviously keep managing the money. As a group, we always manage it. Dylan is very important role now is taking over for me, looking at, as we get more and more clients, helping me out managing that money. And he does a great job, allocations and stuff.
Yeah, managing the money has always been our bread and butter. He's been doing it for 40 years. And then 5-6 years ago, we ended up getting more into financial planning, which is the main thing we talk about on this show because of how important it is. Mm-hmm. But the behind the scenes of the money management, that's what we've always done. That's what we always love.
Well, you're the one that lead into the segue of legacy planning. You're talking about succession planning. And I mean, as we age, with wisdom comes also lots of change, right? And we need to, it is a little bit unnerving sometimes to have to look at your estate planning. You don't want to think about what if I'm not here and all those things, but it is so important to have a plan in place. And I mean, I have 4 kids, and to look forward to understanding how I want to be able to still live the lifestyle that I would like to live, but able to support them and encourage them in their growth too.
It's to help your heirs.
Yeah.
Really, you need, so they don't get messed up in the planning because they're going to be emotional when you pass away. If you have everything set in place, at least it makes that step a little easier for them.
They better be emotional.
Well, the details of it is what shocks them. One, I didn't look at my estate plan for many, many years. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I started looking at it because my wife and I planned a few years ago a long trip. I said, we better look at this, see what's going on. Dylan was still going to my sister. Something happened to me, okay? My other son was going to somebody else. So, like, those things had to shift a little bit because they weren't important.
I think you'll be okay.
You know, part of my company was going someplace and this and that. And I'm like, oh, my God, I got to change all this right now. So then we sat down and we redid it. Now the next step is when you're talking about the legacy planning, it's hard. You know what the hardest thing is? Are you transparent with your kids or you're not transparent with your kids? I decided to get transparent with them because I see way too many people pass away and then the kids get into it. And then they don't talk and they don't do it. So rather than be upset with me so I can explain to them what decisions I made, then later on. And at the end of the day, most of it is split. But, you know, there's some things that one person favors the other over the other. I mean, Dylan's, you know, obviously running the company. He's got to make it run. My other son, you know, is there. Do they all get part of it? Yes. If we were Walmart, it's easy. Okay? They all get family money. They get shares. They own the company. Somebody else runs it. It doesn't run that way when you got small companies. But talking to them and making decisions with them allows you to have the satisfaction that later on they're not going to probably fight over money.
No, I don't think we will. But like he's saying, I mean, estate planning is very complex, very customized to your way of life, the same way as a financial plan. Mm-hmm. But the crazy thing is there's only 24% of the people in the U.S. have an estate plan, have a will, have something like that in place. And I don't know if it's just out of lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, or the fear of talking about your mortality. Mm-hmm. You might not want to, but in reality, it's something you need to put in place. And it can be as simple as put in a POD, which is a payable on death on a checking account. So if you pass away, it goes straight to whoever you put as the heir. It's the same idea as putting a beneficiary on an IRA, on a Roth IRA. Or if it's a taxable account and you don't have a whole estate or a whole trust set up, you can do a TOD, which is transfer on death. Same idea as POD, but just different letters for different industries.
Interesting, because I think a lot of people don't even know who their beneficiaries are. Sometimes you may fill out the paperwork when you get a job or when you change, and then you don't remember and you don't update it, you don't visit. And like you said, life changes. We did the same thing with our estate planning, and it was unnerving because we have 4 children, and there was not a person that came to mind like that could handle our 4 children. So it was like trying to, okay, can your brother do it? Can your sister do it? Can your
Well, you got to split them up.
Well, and like he said, he hadn't checked his trust in a long time. I mean, you want to check it every 3 to 5 years just to make sure everything's current and okay, because it could be very off from what you want to do nowadays. And I mean, there's people that we've had clients, their ex-spouse was their primary beneficiary, and they divorced 10 years ago. So they never changed their 401k.
Good for her.
But that's the idea. And then like, well, we got to get this fixed real quick.
You snooze, you lose. You know what I'm saying?
You know the saddest part, though, is some of them come to us, and now they're 85 years old, and they go, I haven't even spoken to my daughter or my grandchildren in 10 years. I don't know if I want to keep them in the will. And, that's in the trust. And that's a hard decision, because once you make that decision and you're done, that's your decision if something happens to you in your past. And, a lot of times I suggest try to make amends before you make any changes. See if you can make amends before you make any changes. And if at the end of the day you're trying to reach out and they don't want any part of you, then you make your decision, and at least you feel better about it.
What do you think, so what's holding people back? Is it just the fear of their own mortality, or they just don't get around to it?
Fear of your own mortality. It's hard. You sit down there, you're talking about you're no longer here, and you're giving stuff away to people.
My brother did it. He's 33, and him and his wife just did it because they went on a trip for their honeymoon, and they have 2 little kids at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So they wanted to make sure everything was set up in case something happened. They're 33, and he was like, I don't want to think about my mortality.
Yeah.
It was even weird for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, and that'll change too, because now as Dylan gets older and does different things and can handle having children, then they don't go to me or her parents, right? And they would go to Dylan then, or her sister, or whoever it is. And you don't really know what their decisions are until they tell you. And then you feel really proud of it. And you're like, wow, I hope nothing happens today, because that's a lot of work, on many ways,
But from the legal perspective too, aren't there always so many changes in estate planning, laws that they change so much with how much you can gift, and that's tax-free. It's constantly changing.
That's a whole deal when you come to tax planning.
Yep.
And, obviously Dylan, being a CFP, goes over that. But we also have an estate planner that knows that changes all the stuff, and that's important. Now the Trump's in, most of us don't fit into the 24 or 26 million that you can have between the 2 people. If you do, then that's great. But if you don't, what Dylan's talking about is make sure it's payable on death to somebody. Make sure the beneficiaries are. Also, in the state of Arizona, if you're legally married, you cannot make a beneficiary other than your wife on investment accounts and IRAs and stuff like that.
Well, you can, but they have
Unless
your spouse has to sign
off
on it if they're not 50% or more, because Arizona is a community property state. So that's what he was saying in that. But it's also what he was talking about with the 15 million and the 30 million if you're married is or your lifetime exclusion for taxes if you're gifting. So you can do an annual gift of $19,000 per person. So if you're married, you get up to $38,000 to give the one recipient each year, and that doesn't go against your lifetime exclusion. But what it does do is you don't pay taxes on it. So say you gave away $40,000, then you would have $2,000 that goes to your lifetime exclusion, but that's about 30 million right now, and it's very high on that part.
If we didn't have somebody like you in our corner, we would never know all these rules. So it's so important to get your financial plan going. And that's why we're giving you this phone number, 520-544-4909. Because your money does matter, you can give Greenberg Financial Group a call, and you'll get this complimentary just for taking the time to sit with us and learn and educate yourself. You can get an education on where you're at to find out if you're on the right road to retirement. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll come back with so much more on Your Money Matters.
This is Money Matters with Dean Greenberg of the Greenberg Financial Group. I'm Spike Spangle. Dean, what really got you started in this industry?
It was because I was working for Ford Motor Company. I had ordered all the dealerships, and I kind of looked at things and I said, this is not what I want. So I went back and got my MBA in finance and investments and said, I'm going to work on Wall Street. I didn't really know the journey I was going to have until later on, 1987, when the market crashed.
Yeah. Black Monday.
Black Monday. The only person in a company of 600 and some odd brokers. I was buying IBM, and I opened a $500,000 account. So they say to me, hey, this is unbelievable. How did you do this? What did you do? I just said, because I thought it was the right thing to do. Down 20%, it was probably a good time to buy, and I was more of a technician and an advisor and an educator at that time. Long story short, they tell me a week later I never owned the stock. The back offices back then could not handle 1 billion shares a day. So a week and a half later, they tell me I don't own it, and I needed to call the client to tell them they didn't own the stock. And I told them that they should pay the client. Next day I came in, my box of stuff was in there, and they told me I was fired. And I went to go see the guy I knew to go get a job. And he said, Dean, I'd hire you tomorrow, but you need to start your own business. I laughed at him and said, how am I gonna start my own business? I only have $5,000. He said, figure it out. We're all salesmen. You educate, you care about the markets, you care about your clients. So I guess I figured it out.
Hello and welcome back to Money Matters. I'm Sarah Peterson here with Dylan Greenberg and Dean Greenberg of Greenberg Financial Group, and we're talking about legacy planning. And isn't it so perfect that we're talking about that with a father and son?
I'm going to say, people have told me, and I know it, I'm one of the lucky people in the world. They have got to be able to build up a great business and then be able to have a son or daughter, I don't have daughters, but son or child, I'll say a child, in your family that not only wants to take over the business, loves the business, has been wanting to do this pretty much his whole life. I mean, he started when he was 14 years old, looking at doing stuff like that. But I knew he was right for this job because I think when he was 10, he dressed up like me for Halloween with the beard, with the suitcase, with all that stuff. And I said, okay, this guy, he wants to, I got to bring him along. He wants to do this.
Well, I think both he and Todd are kind of like old souls in a way, to be able to relate to people their own age and equally as well relate to people, you know, older and also in such different phases of life. It takes a certain type of person.
Yeah, it's the longevity game, is that we understand it and we just enjoy it, and we enjoy the constant learning of the business. Like we talk about all the time, how every year something's different, something's new. It always keeps you interested. As long as you're wanting to learn,
we meet together a couple of times a year, and every time I'm like blown away with how much has changed and evolved and how much more we're learning.
And talking about legacy planning, estate planning, and all that, for example, something new that we've learned in the past couple of years is called the donor advised fund, which a donor advised fund is a charitable fund where you can give money today, get the charitable deduction today in this year, but not give out the money until 3-4 years down the line. And at that point, you can figure out what you want to do with it, but you get the tax deduction today. So if you're looking to do something like that, you can take, hypothetically, $10,000, put it in a donor advised fund today, get the deduction in 2025, and then you get to invest it. And then once you invest it, it can 4 or 5 years, and then you can give it to a charity or something like that later on.
So that's even like,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's even giving him a bigger gift than you intended to give. That's great.
Yeah, it's a great thing. We work with the company, the JPSA in Tucson. We work with them. There's donor advised funds all over the country, but we work with this one in town mostly. But it's great, and they do a very good job, and they're very smooth and very easy to work with.
What I know you've talked a bunch, and also on our previous show, about charitable giving. What if there's somebody out there who isn't necessarily charitably inclined, but they're kind of interested? How do they find the right organization to work with?
Well, at that point, that we would have that conversation, kind of help them figure out if they're not very charitable inclined, but they're looking to do something. We have different avenues, but it's hard to just throw out a specific example if you don't really know what that person is exactly trying to look to do.
Yeah, but you can help advise them.
Well, exactly. They don't know what charity to go to, but if someone's not charitably inclined.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not somebody who has, you know, been charitable their whole entire life.
Chances are they're probably not going to be.
But
if they
there are
be,
so many avenues, as they were talking about on previous show, of, you know, saving tax dollars by, you know, deferring some of it to charitable giving. That might be something people are interested in, but if they haven't previously been inclined to do that.
But now they're starting to think about it. Yeah, I mean, in that sense, the donor advised fund is a great option because it doesn't rush you to figure
Okay.
out what charity you want to give it to.
Gives you time
Another
to
one
do
we've
some
talked about on
research.
previous shows are QCDs, which are qualified charitable distributions, and that can come from your RMD.
Okay.
If you're taking your RMD currently and you don't want to have that realized on your taxes, you can give it to a charity. And then say your whole RMD is $20,000, you give $10,000 to a charity, you only realize $10,000 for your income that year as your RMD.
It gives you some time, like you were saying, with the donor advised fund to
Exactly.
do some research.
Well, it's like that. Like Dylan said, you owe $20,000. You want to give $20,000 to the government, or do you want to give $10,000 to something else? So now it's only 10. So now you're only giving $10,000 to the government.
And the thought is too, if you're not charitably inclined and never have been and never necessarily want to, but you also have no heirs to leave your money to, it's going to go to the state and the government.
Yeah.
So if you don't want that to happen, it's time to start thinking about being charitably inclined if you've never thought about it or
Isn't
don't
it
have
crazy
heirs
how
to give your money
many
to.
different avenues there are with same person, same age, same amount of money, but just completely different
Yep, exactly.
priorities in terms of spending. Well, I think the legacy is interesting because, as you just said, there might be people who don't have heirs to leave it to. And so then what is their legacy, or how do you help them determine?
It's usually something they're into, whether it's animals, okay, and they pick a charity that, or a healthcare thing, like it would be cancer or lymphoma or Hodgkin's disease or something like that. People always find something that has affected them through themselves or somebody in their family in their lives, or battered women, or just children. Youth sports and things like that. Everybody, there's a lot of places you can give money to.
Yeah. It's it's wonderful because it benefits both parties, right? So,
Yes.
But you need to have somebody on your side helping you plan to get there.
Exactly.
Well, talk to me about what the process is, because we talk a lot about financial plan, and I don't know that everyone sitting out in the audience understands what that really is or how that process works. Like, what do they need to prepare with?
Yeah, so for that, the process is you call us up, you want to do a financial plan. We'll send you an email with all the information to gather prior to the plan. You don't need to send it to us before. We'll start the plan from scratch when we meet, and it's going to be anything between income, investable assets, houses, rental income, pensions, life insurance. Expenses is a big one that a lot of people don't have nailed down. That's usually the hardest topic to find out is, what is your monthly expense? What is your annual expense?
You mean a budget?
The budget, yep. Figuring that out, and most of the time it's higher than they think, because then they put it down, they say the fund money is a lot more expensive than you really give yourself credit for a lot of the time. So they want to put that down, but that's usually what we go through. And then we just start the plan from scratch. And then at that point, we talk about goals, about what your goals are when you retire. Do you want to travel more? Do you want to buy a second home? Do you want to sell rentals because you don't want to deal with property management anymore? Divest it and figure out how to invest that money differently. There's all those different avenues, but that's what we talk about. And then from there, we send you the financial plan that we created through an email, and you have the whole plan. And then we send you a risk tolerance questionnaire, because that's also the way we can help. And we got to know your risk. So if we know your risk, we can figure out how to invest the money, because we are the money managers, and we can figure out where that risk sits in your financial plan. And then after that, we meet, we go over what our suggestions are, what we talked about in the first meeting. And then from there, if you want to become a client, you can. We would love to work with you. But if not, all of that is yours to keep, and we hope you have good.
Yours to keep for free.
For free.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
all this is free.
We
The
can
only
use
time-
that word now. It is
Yeah.
complimentary. It is literally free. Other people do charge thousands of dollars, and you could for this, but you do that so that you can educate them as part of your education, right?
Exactly.
And hopefully you find a way to make a relationship with people, and they can understand that you can help them find their road to retirement, their happy place. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
like
That's
what
the
we
goal.
deserve.
You know what I found on budgeting, which is one of the things.
Stop
people
using
do,
that word. I hate that
is
word.
people always think they're in their budget because they're paying their bills and stuff, but they put stuff on their credit card that might be 6 months and 9 months out later, and all of a sudden you got a $10,000 credit card that you're okay on your budget because you're paying your monthly bills, but now you have this credit card come in for stuff you're doing 10 months from now, and you didn't budget for that. And that's what always puts people behind. Because, how am I going to pay off this credit card? I didn't budget, because they don't think it's part of their budget, because they're putting it on their card. They think their bills are and the things like that. But when you're planning a trip for 6 months or so from now, and you're putting it on your credit card today, it's got to be part of your budget. for the next 6 months.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's like a monthly budget where, okay, I paid for it today. I'm going to have to pay it off each month for the next 6 months. I can't keep living the same way I did today because I got something to pay off.
I really think we should talk about something else. We are going to take a quick commercial break, so we hope you stay with us because your money really does matter. We'll see you soon.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Hello and welcome back to Money Matters. I'm Sarah Peterson here with Dean Greenberg and Dylan Greenberg, and we're talking about legacy, father and son, so that's a perfect way to talk about it. But so many things that are involved in estate planning and so many reasons why people do and do not do it, right, and mistakes we make. So
I got one that happened recently, okay? It's my ex-wife, and she actually does business with us. We're still on good terms. Actually, she deals with Dylan. And she's got a problem because she is single. She's got a good amount of money. You know, she's got, $3 million or so more, right? And she doesn't know what to do with it because she's kind of estranged from her family. Her sister doesn't talk to her, brother doesn't talk to her. She's got some nieces and nephews. One she talks to once in a while, the others don't. And she goes, I don't know what to do. So I talked to her about, what do you love? What do you like to do? And she decided to give it to some places that she really respects and wants to do. So she gave away, she put it down on the beneficiary, at least 50% goes to different places. And it's pretty ironic that because she's giving it to some Jewish foundations, because part of her problem was I was Jewish, she wasn't, and her parents didn't really like that. And then she became converted to Jew after, like years after me. But it means so much to her that she wants to give money to them. So who knows how or what happened over the last 40 some odd years of what happened with her. But it's very interesting that how much she believes in it, and she's willing to do that. And she wants to reserve some of the money in case she comes back around with with the family or not, but she doesn't think she will, and she'll just keep giving more money to the place that she loves and all.
Well, it just comes to show, like we were talking about previously, about the changes in your life. I mean, that's one thing we really have never discussed, change in religion. Obviously, you talk about marriages, divorces, births, deaths, but there's a lot of other changes that can impact your finances or how you choose to spend your money.
Yeah, and that's why, with the financial plan, we want to review it at least once a year, because even in 12 months, a lot changes in your life, whatever age you are. If you're younger, much more can, in the sense of new kids, new house, new job, something like that. If you're older, you might want to start giving more, like we always talk about, or like we were saying last segment, the charitable inclination might change. But for your estate plan, you want to do at least every 3 to 5 years, because big things could change like that.
So it's all under one roof, but you're just advising, and then there's somebody else that they see specifically for estate planning.
Yeah, one of the things what I wanted to do as part of the team is have a family office for the average person. Family offices, for the most part, are for people with $100 million or more, billions of dollars. where they have everyone underneath, everyone's on a salary, they're working on their real estate, they're working on their accounting, they're working on their taxes, they're working on every estate planning, they're working on all different types of investments under one roof. They all get paid, and the only money that's there is the family's money, which is usually a very large amount. What I wanted to do was have these same services for the people that don't have that type of money, okay? But they don't have to use all of it. So everyone's their own individual business under one roof. So we have the estate planner, we have the accounting firm, we have the financial advisory firm, and of course we also do the management. We have insurance. We're able to do most of it, but the legal stuff we give out to other people in our office that have the same philosophy we do. Take care of the client first. Share a lot. But if you already have your own accountant or your estate planner, you don't need to use us. Or if you have your own money manager, a lot of people go to them and don't use us. But it's nice to have everybody in one place.
Absolutely. Like we were talking about, it's like, seeing a specialist versus seeing a general practitioner. Mm-hmm. But isn't it nice to know that? And I think what's nice is your holistic approach, getting to know your clients and you keep talking about lifestyle. And I love that. Getting to know their lifestyle. It's so important because it's so much more than just the amount of money that they have.
We've really noticed that change when we started doing the financial planning 5-6 years ago, because we've always done the money management, and now you do the holistic plan. There's a lot more stuff in their financial life that they go through that might have not been talked about 15, 20 years ago when you were just talking about stocks and investments like that. So that is also why we started doing this financial planning workshop once a quarter. It's free to come to. We give you lunch. It's all held at La Paloma. What we do is go through our financial plan from scratch, and we show you what it could look like if you were to come in and do a meeting and create your own financial plan. And we have it more interactive because we like to have questions asked on the go. What are you interested in? Because I'm sure somebody else in there is interested in the same thing. They just didn't ask the question. So then you ask it, we go through it, and we can just show how dynamic the financial plan is. And if you're interested, you could always set up a meeting to customize your financial plan. But that's held each quarter, starting next year.
I love it. You put the stress test to it and see what I can handle.
Exactly, yep.
Right. If people don't know what it's about and want to do it and find out, they do it. I want to teach people. I'm not afraid of them learning and going someplace else. I really am not. Because the more they know about us, the more we teach them, the more they realize, well, I can maybe trust these guys. These are telling them the same thing. Because at the end of the day, the reason you deal with someone, stay with someone, and build a relationship is trust.
Trust is everything. And the thing is it's very hard for people to share their personal finances, and to come to somebody who makes them feel like family, I feel like is so very important. So if you've been watching our show and hopefully you have learned so much, maybe you have some questions, please give us a call. We would love to help you, and this is completely complimentary. Just our gift to you for spending time with us and getting an education on something we really should be learning in school. So that phone number is 520-544-4909. You're gonna actually get a person at some point, right? Which is pretty cool. No AI answering your phone.
Nope, we'll answer the phones.
I love that.
Or it goes to the answering, whatever.
We'll answer the phones.
No robots. We hope to see you soon on your next Money Matters.